Greetings, my fine fellow bear ghost killers who are fighting man-eating horsemen in giant and mechanical death machines. It is I, a ghost. And today I'm going to be talking to you all about Battletech, without question, by Brian Young. Yes, I'm finally getting around to talking about another Battletech book, and it is the follow-up to arguably one of my best novels I've read in a while, because I still don't think anything has really topped Question of Survival, because that is a damn fine book. It is top notch, just tasty. And we're getting a follow up to that directly, kind of continuing off that story and the one short story that Brian wrote in Shrapnel 11 about Alexis's trial of position. Yes, I think it's 11. But yeah, this is basically directly following off that. It entails like just after the gambit that Chisu did to get all the Ghost Bear cadets to kind of reinforce his forces. Then dealing with the attack on Sudan by the Hell's Forces, if you read Tomorrow Rising in the first half, and as well as kind of diving more deep into the cultural ramifications of now what's going on, because they have their little gambit now to survive. They got that little blood injection with the kids to be the warriors and giving them a bit more of an edge, as well as capturing a couple more worlds and getting things down situated. But now they got to deal with their own internal politics, because previous novel was split between the Ghost Bears and the Jade Falcon faction, and like what their whole aims are. With the Jade Falcon, it was we need this infusion to survive. We have to make this risk. We gotta play this gambit. Whereas the Ghost Bears, it was a bit of an arrogant play, a bit of like, oh hey, this is something, and then it gives us insight into the fracturing internal like idea of their culture between like join the Star League, don't join the Star League, should we really recognize Alec Ward and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of played into the political slash cultural digest, and in my opinion the story ends with the death of democracy in Ghost Bear Dominion. So that, or Wrestle Hugging Dominion. But yeah, great book. And this one follows up with that by more focusing on the internal politics and like cultural developments of the Jade Falcons, usually by following like three different characters. We get Alexis, who's coming in kind of with these fresh eyes as this like not true born, not indoctrinated directly into this clan, and kind of looking at it from perspective of a outsider who's joined in, I guess is how I could best describe it. Then I'm forgetting the Star or Galaxy Commander, who we also follow in. Who I'm blanking the name on just now, but we follow her, and she kind of like counterbalances with Alexis as well as the Psychon, and so we see a lot of different levels of like just the society that's forming, as well as following Chisu as he's making his plays, being the greatest used car or used mech salesman in the known galaxy, and desperately trying to keep his business afloat because everything's on fire. And oh god, what do I do? Okay, I'm gonna do this. Yep, plays up. Oh shit, oh fuck, oh no. And that's kind of like the bit that this novel's going for, and it does it really well. Like it explores, especially in the first couple chapters, like what's with Alexis. You see the hesitation and kind of like, oh, people are fucking afraid of us. People are terrified that we're going to murder them because of what happened with Maven. Because the looming like ghost or nightmare of Maurice Hazen is still extremely prevalent in not just like the Falcons, but the people they ruled over, the reactions to the people who both fought alongside her and either disagree or agreed with her. Like it's still at the heart of in the Falcons, and in turn that inspiring other people to rise against or be fearful of them. And that's kind of like the first act is like setting up all these bits of tension of like, hey, we're having all these things, and we also need to reclaim worlds, and oh, the people don't trust us. They are literally like organizing revolts, and they are not risking anything to die. They are going hardcore. No, fuck you, Falcon, die bird, die, and like they are going hardcore. And then the Hell's Horses show up, and we have fight scenes in novels can be really hard, and I always put it as a 50-50 chance. It's either going to be, oh, that's going to be pretty fun, or it's just be like, oh, this is a slog. And regrettably, this novel falls into the slog part. It's not bad, like it's all well written. It's just it's hard to really get invested, or not necessarily invested, but just feel like it's not dragging itself on and on a bit for a good chunk of chapters while they fight off the Hell's Horses after they arrive and do their thing, and then they play their gambits and stuff. You get it, and it's just like it's not the most interesting part of the book. It's serviceable and it gets across what needs to have happen. You do get the sense of you kind of get the sense of tactics. I'm gonna be honest. I kept having to reread stuff because I kept glazing over because it was not really super interesting, and I was like, I want to know what the politicking, I want to know what the culture is step. That's what I want to read about. I want to read about that. It's not because like in Question of Survival, the cultural and all the stuff, all of the big fighting was underscored by all of that stuff that it had built up throughout the novel. The tension, the politicking, the culture, and like the division between Falcons, the cadets, and Emil. Was his name Emilio or Amir? Something with an E. I'm forgetting his name. The Ghost Bear guy who fights against Chisu and accepts his gambit, and functionally like fights him and has that has a whole bunch of like undercurrents and stuff that makes it feel more interesting. Here, it's just kind of a thing that pops in, takes up a bunch of chapters, and then you get back to the more interesting things, which start coming up like in the second to middle half of the book, where eventually Alexis, after losing one of her squad mates, like just goes off and with the, I think it's the Psychon. I don't know why I'm like it, but yeah, the Psychon, and is working with her because they view her as like a risk star, but she doesn't herself. And you kind of you follow her, you get that human connection and like how she, as someone who doesn't really have a high opinion of herself, is going through. And it presents a good bit of drama as well as underscores like when they go to meet people on this other planet. Oh fuck, they are like, we're gonna fight you. We're not going back. We're not going back on a Falcon rule, and brings up the whole like, oh hey, y'all literally were part of a culture that slaughtered people wholesale, and like they have these people who are revolted and captured all the Falcons and put them in jail after some bad shit went down with like a massacre and all kinds of things. And that presents a really good, interesting thing, shows off her character, shows off her willingness to kind of go in and try to speak her own mind, present the best nature of a situation, as well as like speaking to her leaders and trying to, you know, do what she thinks is right. And that helps her stand out as a character and is much more interesting than the fighting bits and whatnot. And that's what I really like about most of when Brian Young's working, is he does really good character work. It plays to the themes of the story and whatnot. And then alongside that, you have, going back to Sudan, you have a couple of our characters that are dealing with the rebellion going on and trying to figure out what the heck is going on with that. Chisu's trying to figure out how he can work with things, and then, oh hey, a bunch of Falcons show up who we didn't know about. Oh shit, they're all Maven hardliners. And then that kind of starts throwing up the upset as you have this whole group of people who are, oh no, Chisu, you are a fucking heretic. I need to kill you. I'm going to challenge you to a circle of equals, and I'm going to take my position. But are slowly biding their time. And it's, you can see where it's going. It does well to underscore like the rot that is at the center of the Falcons, or like is inherent to what they were before Chisu came to power, and what he has to struggle to not be. And so it allows all kinds of characters to have a reflection of their past, or the past of their culture and their sins, and in turn like spurs them into action to choose like, oh hey, we have this that we can reflect to be a bit better. The only problem is when these people show up, it's like the third section, like the last third of the book, and I really wish it was more throughout the novel. I wish like it could have been in like the second half, and we had this whole subplot just slowly building. You see more sides of different people, because you see like the Falcons trying to let people have like art and culture. There's a particular scene in a theater that is used to like kind of underscore like the difference between how Chisu is trying to let people rule and the Maven Hardliners and how they are discussed at certain things, but also kind of like parallels in certain aspects. And it presents a very interesting thing. It just kind of is like, oh hey, yeah, they get wrapped up a bit too easy in my liking, and that I think I have a very weird feeling with the book after reading it because I did not get engrossed as much as like a question of survival in this. For me, especially with that fight section, like all the battle section for Sudan, it really felt more bogged down than anything. I guess maybe that was just kind of like the fighting and being so early on and not really jiving with me, and that taking up a good chunk of the novel versus like what I found interesting, which is the character work. But you have that kind of trouble of like following up an extremely good novel versus like, oh, this is a good book, but it's just not as good as the thing it's following up with. Because it I don't know, it feels more predictable, even though like you know where everything's gonna go. Because literally, like you get the honor duel with fucking the Maven Hardliner, and they do some fucking traitorous shit, and Chisu then gets a robot eye because he lets himself get into a cockpit to explode. Again, he is the world's greatest car salesman who is like keeping this clan alive on a razor's edge, and that's fun. But I just wish there was a bit more like leading up to that kind of plot point and leading up to the final resolve, because it's very good and it's very interesting. It's just you wish there was more of it throughout the novel instead of like that. Alongside that, we also get like a little story about the lone wolves mercenary companies who are on Sudan. That's fun. You're seeing this like kind of, I guess, conglomeration of different like mercenary groups, because it's one mercenary company that's composed of a bunch of different units and the various people that compose them. Like you get like Katie Farrow's in there, so she's up, which is nice. And like you get a lot of fun with like just the little interactions there, and then they pop off, and that helps to add a little bit more fun to like both the end and beginning of the big fight scene stuff with the Battle Sudan. But like I just feel like I wish there was more. That I think is the big thing. I wish there was more exploration of like the Falcons from a cultural standpoint, from like maybe you had a civilian standpoint character, or you had people more prominently in the Falcons culture versus like later on we meeting this other world that had all the Falcons captured and whatnot. That does give you some bits of it, some bits of like both a military, a civilian, and a government mindset. Like you get chunks of that in that, which I think is probably the more interesting aspect of that, and people having to make hard choices when, oh hey, people you knew did fucked up shit, and now they have to pay and wait in what they got, and it sucks because you might have love for them even though they did fucked up shit and did the war crimes, and the non-Mimi in the literal like, oh no, they actually did a fucking war crime. But yeah, so it's a weird novel because I like it. It's just not as good as A Question of Survival, and like that's fine. I think that's fine. Because like every book needs to be something that can stand on its own. It does stuff that it works for. It's not like you need to have read A Question of Survival to really get down and dirty into Without Question. It explores some interesting things. It sets up some fun stuff, and it gives the Falcons some more character. I think the problem with that is the Falcons also, and this may also be why I'm not having as much fun with it, is there's not much of an edge to the Falcons. Because I think that might be it, where it's like, in Question, it's like, it's about that gambit, it's about that risk, it's that gamble, that like, oh yeah, I'm shining my teeth where I'm on fire, I'm burning alive, but I'm going in for the thing, even though like I'm putting everything on the cards, that kind of thing. Whereas here, everyone feels a bit more cut and not cut and dry, but like just everyone's too easy to get. Like you have your clear cut good guys, which is Chisu, all our characters we follow, and then we get the Maven supporters who are just the evilest motherfuckers as always. But there's no one who's like kind of got maybe there's like an in between. There's no real edge to anybody. Everyone's too cut and dry. Everyone's like either, oh yeah, I'm really good and I'm just gonna like do the good thing, or I'm an evil monster because I'm literally like a follower of a dictator who like just blew up civilian places and murdered civilians super easily. Who literally was like, I love the smell of charred body in the morning. Yes, yes, I love being evil. Which that's kind of a problem because Marie Hazen was literally a cartoon monster villain versus Alec Ward, who at the time, I haven't read all those books, but I know from people's perspective was just bringing that as the I'm a hero, good guy. Yeah, I'm super competent. I'm like a fucking dude from oh god, who's the guy who wrote Starship Troopers? Robert Heinlein, the competent man, storytelling device guy person thing. And that's sort of like, I think maybe they're shifting too hard to try and get the Falcon some redemption in a sense, because you already have it. Like Chisu doesn't like Maven, but they feel too good. They don't, because I've read okay, it's the Jade Falcon trilogy. I read the first novel, and they still had some edge there, but they still recognized as being like not cartoon monsters and stuff. Um, but I feel like that's kind of one of the things they're lacking. They're lacking that edge to really push them to having something more going on with them. Like they're fun characters and you like these people, but they also are too easily presented situations, I think. Where it's just, oh, they choose the immediate, like probably goodest good person thing. And these are supposed to be clan characters, supposed to have like this whole weird kind of dynastic or like military mindset, and I feel like they're pushing them a little too far into being more innately human. I think that might be a way of presenting it as, because the clans are supposed to have this weird semi non-human human idea in their concept, because they have a weird cultural mindset because they did a bunch of eugenic stuff and they've messed with themselves, because they're still recognizably human but they're also not, and that should relatively reflect their culture. And so here, like, they are all innately more human than they would have been, I guess, in the past, or in a way that I think works to the story's benefit. So I think that is what I'm really finding in the end with kind of talking this out, is I like these people, but I wish they had more negative traits going on. Not in the sense of like, oh hey, they're Mary Sue's, but in the sense that like I wish they would be more just kind of, I don't know. It's one of those hard things to really nail down into words. I think just more of an edge. That's the word that keeps coming back to me. More some more like skewed aspects of themselves. Because like I said, Chisu is the galaxy's greatest used car salesman on a burning car lot that he's now put out a little bit of the fires, but there's still a lot of fire to go. And then now he's just now getting back some of his employees, but are not the ones from his inner circle, like the normal like guy who runs the fucking cashier register or something. I don't know. Not the car salesman, I guess, if we're going to use that as a metaphor. Like the car salesmen are the clan warriors, and then everybody else is like the dudes who work in the office doing normal stuff. Yeah, I think that's the analogy I'm going for. But yeah, that I think is kind of how I feel about it without question. It's a good novel. It introduces and explores aspects about Jade Falcons in the Ill Clan setting that are interesting, and presents them in a way that like shows, oh hey, we are evolving, we're changing as a culture, and we are not going to be what we were beforehand, both in the sense of like what they were classically, and also in the sense that they're no longer going to be doing anything like Hazen. They're not doing any of that. No Mongol doctrine to be found here. Go maybe find the Hell's Horses and see if they're doing their own classical version of that, or some weird crazy falcons they haven't found yet. But yeah, it's one of those novels that I don't know how I would recommend it, because it's good, but I didn't really have like the greatest time ever. And there's more interesting novels that I've read that are not amazing, but still presented me with more to think about. Like when I read Without Question Honor, the context of like oh hey, what is the main character and how is it being used in this nature of culture, presented me a more interesting thought process. Whereas here, I don't really have too much to think about outside of yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Wish the characters had some more going on, or like a bit more like a edge or like aggression to them. Wish they had like more stuff going on, that kind of context. But here, I'm just like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It doesn't push me any which way or other. Which I think for a lot, I think most people will very much enjoy this. I think if you enjoy without a question of survival, you're like this. If you enjoy Brian Young books, you're gonna like it. But like for me, who I think my expectations were just a bit too high, and then it took me forever to read the novel. That maybe is why I'm just kind of like, yeah, it's okay for me. But yeah, that I think most people enjoy it. I think it's just if you're someone like me who really wants to go into the nitty gritty of like, oh hey, we are a part of a culture that is historically done fucked shit, and I want like to see all levels of society, like as like a whole novel just to be about the politicking, I guess, like just the internal politics of a culture evolving and not necessarily like mech fighting. Maybe that's why I'm disappointed, because I just want to hear about the culture evolution and how all these people are dealing with like the ramifications of that, the change, like the hesitation to go in with like the people in charge, or like maybe rebelling, or those who do go fully on in, but also have that inner voice of like, oh yeah, let's do the this that we used to do, or like all that kind of stuff. Like I think that's what I really wanted out of the novel, but it wasn't really about that. So that's kind of why I think I'm not as in on it as I was with A Question of Survival. Still, a very good novel, very well written, easy to get your hand on it. I bought mine for pre-release and got it signed, and then took fucking forever to read it. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed me rambling about for about 20 and some minutes about a book that I don't think I actually have an opinion on. Is that my opinion? That I don't have an opinion, or that I think it's just fine? I don't know. I don't know. But still, I hope you enjoyed the ramble bamble, and I hope you just have a good one. And then if you want to check out the book, I'll have a link down below, and then hopefully I'll also be making more videos soon. I have no idea if I'm going to be consistent because my energy is still fordangled. I keep falling asleep randomly and then waking up 3 or 4 hours later after work, or either on the days I'm not working. I don't know. It's been annoying when I want to get things done. Oh god, what is wrong with me? Still, hope you enjoyed the video, and I have plenty of other videos to check out on my channel if you want to hear about books. I'm going to try and do expanding into other things like comic books soon, where I did that one Absolute Batman video. Still, hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you well, and I hope to see you in the next one.